What's something you believed as a kid that still haunts you today? When I was 5, my dad told me that if I ever felt sad, all I had to do was smile really hard and the sadness would disappear. He called it tricking the storm. Like sadness was this little rain cloud following me around, and a smile was my invisible umbrella. And I believed him. Completely. The first time I tried it was at my kindergarten recital. I forgot all my lines, stood there frozen on stage, heart pounding while the other kids sang around me. I felt humiliated, on the verge of tears. But I remembered what Dad said. So I smiled wide, toothy, shaking, and pretended it was fine. And weirdly, it kind of worked. The adults clapped. My mom gave me a juice box afterward and told me I did great. And Dad just winked at me and said, "See? You tricked it." From then on, I used that trick everywhere. When I spilled red Kool-Aid on a friend's white carpet, smile. When I sat alone at lunch for the first time in middle school, smile. When my best friend stopped texting back freshman year, and I overheard her laughing about me with a new group, smile. Even when my parents started fighting at night, hissing at each other in the kitchen after they thought I'd gone to bed, I'd curl up under the covers, force a smile and whisper, "You can't get me, Storm." It became a reflex. Automatic. Muscle memory. I didn't realize it then, but I wasn't smiling to make the sadness go away. I was smiling to make me go away. By high school, I was the bubbly one. Always laughing too loud, joking too often. Checking in on everyone else like I didn't have a single problem of my own. And that's how I made it through prom night. Even though my boyfriend left with someone else. It's how I made it through my parents' divorce. When my dad moved out with nothing but a backpack and said he'd need some space to figure things out. I didn't cry. Not once. I just smiled. For everyone. But inside I was shrinking. It wasn't until college that someone finally asked, "Why do you always look so happy when you're clearly not?" It was a guy in my statistics class. We weren't even close. He just looked at me one day and said, "You know you don't have to smile for me, right?" And I didn't know how to answer. Because the truth was I didn't know how not to. I went home that night and stood in front of the mirror trying not to smile. Just look neutral. Normal. And I couldn't. My face literally didn't know what to do. That's when I started therapy. Not because I had a big trauma or one terrible event, but because I'd been smiling through every storm for so long. I didn't know who I was underneath all that sunshine. And the hardest part? I still believe him. Some small childlike part of me still believes that smiling can keep the darkness away. That if I stop, it'll swallow me whole. But I'm learning now that it's okay to sit with the storm sometimes. That sadness doesn't need to be tricked. It needs to be heard. And I'm learning to let my face rest. To let the tears come without guilt. Because healing doesn't always look like happiness. Sometimes it looks like sitting quietly in the rain and realizing, it's okay to get wet. If a part of this story hit you harder than you expected, tell me why. And if you've been smiling through the storm too, know that you're not alone. Subscribe for more stories like this.